What is up, everybody? My name is Hector Flores, host of the Insert Name FC podcast, a member of the Belly Up Sports Media Network. You can find us on all things Spotify, everything podcasting. That's what I was going to say. Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast fix from, you'll find us there. Also, full video version of this podcast episode is available on Belly Up's YouTube channel. So just search Belly Up Sports on YouTube, and you will find us there amongst other great content over there at the Belly Up Sports Network. And follow us on social media at Insert Name FC on Instagram, X, and Facebook. That's how you will see all our posts that we have. We drop regularly for the podcast. This episode is it's going to be just me. We have some topics, some headlines to talk about. Sergio Ramos, where he's going to go after Rayados. Wilfried Nancy to Celtic. And I guess kind of talking about Vinicius Jr., the whole unhappy thing. And I'll share my whole thoughts on that whole thing, even though at this point I feel like we've talked about it plenty enough. Recap the MLS Cup semifinals or conference finals, which I will kind of share my thoughts about that. And also the final that is anticipated to happen this weekend. Liga MX playoffs, recap the quarterfinals, and then preview the semifinals. For Liga MX. So, as a matter of fact, right now the second half just started with Cruz Azul versus Chivas de Guadalajara, and right now Chivas de Guadalajara has a 2-1 lead right now in going into the second half. And also the opening goal was scored by none other than Cade Cow of Chivas de Guadalajara, which always gives me a kind of a grin every time I think about it, just because Cade Cow, if you guys don't know, is a Mexican American player. But obviously with the name Cad Cow, you wouldn't know that. So it is a very interesting thing. It was something that me and Edward talked about a while back. But yeah, so we'll talk about. We'll see what happens, man. If there's any updates as to this game right now. Obviously, we're going into the second half of Chivas versus Cruz Azul. Can Cruz Azul respond? I mean, we'll see what happens, man. We'll talk further when we get to that point. Give you guys players of the week. Give you guys some games to look forward to this weekend. And yeah, that's basically it, man. So we'll see how this episode goes. Should be pretty straightforward. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and take a break and then go right into headlines. Let me tell you guys about Belly Up Sports. Belly Up Sports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. Belly Up Sports is the premier, not your average website. All right, guys, headlines. So I'm actually trying to get all this stuff done, but we'll see what happens here. First headline is Sergio Ramos. So if you guys don't know, Sergio Ramos has announced that at the end of this contract, which is actually as soon as essentially if Monterrey wins Liga MX or gets eliminated, he will not be renewing his contract with Monterrey. So reason being, if you guys are curious, it's not because he's planning on retiring. As a matter of fact, he still wants to play. But he would like a return to Europe in hopes of earning a spot in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Obviously, he feels that his best chances is if he's competing in the ranks of Europe. It makes a lot of sense. I don't think anybody can actually disagree with that. But I think the thing to point out is that he is up there in age. I believe if he's not 40 yet, he's going to be 40. And I don't know about this. Essentially, the depth in the center back area, because I mean, obviously, Dean Huijsen, Corbassi. I'm trying to think of the other center backs that would be available to the Spanish national team. Let me pull up the last Spanish call up real quick, because this is fantastic podcasting. All right, Spain, their last match, which was a draw against Turkey. So you had Corbassi, Laporte. Laporte might be able to give you. I mean, even then, he's 31 years old. But I mean, in some sense, you could say the inspiration for his decision to come back to Europe is kind of what with Laporte. Laporte was playing in Saudi Arabia. I forgot what team. It might have been Al Nassr, and so he decides to return to Europe, and it was Athletic Club Bilbao that he returned to. Um, but I'm trying to figure out maybe the back line if there's any who he can kind of, I guess, essentially beat out. Vivian. No, I don't think he. Maybe there's a way where he. I mean, because as far as center backs, like I can't see like all the center, like I can't see all the center backs that was called up on the last one. But maybe he has a point. Maybe he can get into this back line. Is he gonna play? That's probably like a fair question to ask. But I think that as far as like wanting some leadership, uh, with this Spanish team, I think maybe you do want to bring in the Spaniard. Now, once again, there's a lot of factors. One, he's got to be able to be playing, right? Like he's got to be able to perform in that high level. What gives him his best shot? It would essentially be a maybe not a high profile team, but when you look at all the options, can he play in the Premier League? I think that might be a bit of a reach. I'm sure he could. But I mean, I just don't think, as far as the physical aspect, which the pace wise, I don't know if he can. But maybe Serie A, maybe Ligue 1, maybe a return to Ligue 1. Now, I also would argue if he was to return to Spain, which I wouldn't be against it either. It wouldn't make like logically the only thing that I can think of him returning to Spain would either if he were to go back to Sevilla, obviously his boyhood club, or making a return to Real Madrid, which at this point at the center back position, I know Real Madrid has been pushing hard for Konate and Campio uh, from Bayern Munich, I believe, and Konate from Liverpool. Might be maybe kind of stalling on that one, but I mean, when you look at the back line the center back options for Real Madrid, obviously Dean Huijsen, Militao, Rudiger just came back, David Alaba when he's healthy, Marcos, no, Raúl Asensio. So there's options that I don't necessarily see. Like maybe we can see him kind of fitting back with Real Madrid, but like I just I don't I think that as far as center back goes, I think they're trying to get younger at center back more so than trying to get older in center back. As far as defensive leadership, I mean you already have Dani Carvajal, so I don't think that necessarily you need to go get Sergio Ramos back. I think obviously if you're trying to get people to obviously the return of El Capitan of Real Madrid would be awesome, and I wouldn't be against it because I love Sergio Ramos. He is one of my favorite. He is right now currently my favorite player. Um, but yeah, I just don't see where he fits. Sevilla might maybe Sevilla. I'm not entirely sure about their if they're going through any center back issues. If he was to return to Spain, though, once again, I don't see him going to any other team in Spain besides those two because once again, just the sentimental value, and I think it would just be because I mean, I'll be honest when Sergio Ramos did return to Sevilla, I understood it. I got it. I knew exactly why he was going back there. But like I just preferably don't want him to be playing anywhere else, except for Real Madrid. But there are three teams that are rumored to be interested in Sergio Ramos. That Roma, which Roma I think is very interesting. Once again, Serie A I think would be a pretty good fit for Sergio Ramos as far as how physical it is, especially on the defensive side. Um, Roma is a really intriguing situation because of the fact that they are definitely getting better and better, especially with Gasperini leading the front, leading them, especially with Gasperini leading them. I think. Wait, is it still Gasperini? Pretty sure it is. It's just gonna be me googling stuff today. Yeah, it's Gasperini. I think he would be a good fit with Roma. I think Roma would be a perfect fit for him, actually. Bayer Leverkusen, I think it would be an interesting situation. I think that they're still trying to figure some things out, but they have kind of looked better. They didn't obviously they believe they lost today to Dortmund, but I mean still an interesting situation to go to Bayer Leverkusen and Olympique Marseille. Um, it would be intriguing, right? Like he did play for PSG for a season. Would he go to their rival in Marseille? And I mean, they're looking pretty good as well. Roberto Zerbi really has those guys really playing very well. Could that be a venture? Maybe. I think Ligue 1 would be a good option for him as well. Um, but if I had to choose, well, actually, if I had to choose, I would hope that he would go join the Houston Dynamo, but I don't think that's happening. Um, Honestly, I think Roma would be if I had to pick besides Houston Dynamo, I would say Roma. Roma would probably be the best fit for him. I think Serie A, he fits very well to what Serie A does, and I think that you know with the way they're playing, if he's able to be a contributing factor to Roma in the defensive side, that could really be put him give him a strong case to be featured in the World Cup. Now, as far as playing for the Spanish national team, I think it's I don't maybe coming off the bench, maybe that's where his role is going to be, kind of be that leader in the locker room. But I just don't know. I think you're having Kurbasi, having a healthy Hoyjin, Laporte. I think that those options kind of I would favor over Sergio Ramos, and that this is some coming once again coming from a guy that uh believes Sergio Ramos is one of the greatest center backs of all time. But yeah, like I just as of right now, I just don't see him jumping ahead of the way Hoyjin's been playing at the way Corbasi's been playing, and I think Laporte as well. How these guys have been playing, so I really don't know like what his intention is as far as like trying to make the World Cup squad. Like, is his intentions to be playing? Which I mean, if that logic tells you he's going to want to play, but maybe I'm intrigued of what exactly his end goal is. Hopefully, he makes the World Cup, and if he's able to, obviously once he leaves Monterrey, go into a situation where he can improve a team and his impact is very obvious that he's gonna get a call up with the World Cup, which I am not against at all. Like once again, I'm not against having Sergio Ramos with Spain because I mean, one, it's just gonna make this World Cup even larger, right? You have, potentially Sergio Ramos does get featured, his last World Cup, Lionel Messi's last World Cup, Cristiano Ronaldo's last World Cup, um, and many other iconic players having essentially having their swan song, and we get to watch it here in our very own backyard. So, um, yeah, I think obviously Sergio Ramos wants to compete, and he wants the opportunity to get one more shot, one more last dance with Spain. I mean, he's been part of a lot of high moments for Spain. He was part of that dynasty of the Spanish national team, which was winning the '08 Euro, winning the 2010 FIFA World Cup, winning the 2012 Euro. Um, he was part of that team, and how cool would it be for him to be a contributor to this new generation of Spain? Because honestly, Spain looks really strong. I think Spain could potentially be a heavy favorite to win the World Cup, obviously barring any injuries. And I think that that just would implement put more into the legacy that is Sergio Ramos, because I think personally he has really nothing else left to play for. I think he's done everything you want as a player, Champions League success, domestic success, and international success. He's done it all. So I don't know what else he wants. I don't know what else he feels he needs to prove, but I mean, I feel like he can definitely, like, when he looks back at his career, knowing that he's done a lot for the game. But, you know, guys want to compete, man, at the end of the day, which is one of the reasons why I love Sergio Ramos. The man's competitive and he doesn't take no for an answer. So I think that that's going to be intriguing what happens. Obviously, hopefully they go Rayados goes pretty far. They did just eliminate Club America. So, you know, they're literally one round away from the Liga MX final. So if Sergio Ramos can leave Rayados with a trophy, um, it just shows more about what he is as a player, what he brings to the table, and his mentality of how he leaves things. Obviously, Sevilla didn't look great, but once again, uh, I think this will just be another thing for the legacy of Sergio Ramos. So we'll see what happens there, man. But next one, Wilfried Nancy. So it is official. Well, maybe not official, but Wilfried Nancy. It seems that Celtic is finalizing an agreement to bring on Wilfried Nancy of the Columbus Crew to be their next manager. For you guys don't, if you guys haven't been aware, Celtic has been without a manager since October 27th when Brendan Rodgers stepped down from the role, and since then with an interim manager, which I should probably point out. I believe they're currently 5 points, 5 points behind. 5 points behind on the table. Let me see. This is great podcasting always. So yeah, as of right now, they're 5 points behind Hearts. So right now they're 5 points behind Hearts, who's leading the table, by the way. And though I will point out, Celtic does have 2 matches at hand, meaning that they haven't. That Hearts has already played 2 matches more than Celtic has, so that could benefit Celtic in some sense. I think. Actually, I believe. So I'm recording on Saturday right now. So Sunday they're gonna play a game, and I'm sure that'll probably change some things. But as of right now, and I'll probably do an update on it for games to watch because, spoiler alert, Hearts is gonna play Celtic this weekend. So I'll probably update it there. But so that's the scenario right now with Celtic. So despite not having a manager right now, they still are in a prime position to compete for the Scottish Premier League, which they've done over the years. So, but essentially, Wilfried Nancy, who, if you talk to a lot of MLS fans, are huge supporters of Wilfried Nancy. Like I've said it plenty of times as well on this podcast, Wilfried Nancy is just clearly one of the best managers in MLS. Actually, a pure manager, like a proper manager, if you will. And it's really cool that he's been able to cement himself from Major League Soccer. And I mean, you've heard me and Jose talk about it when we were talking about the schedule change. MLS right now is in the end all be all. And there's a lot of leagues across the world that are not end all be all leagues for players. You know, for instance, teams that are not of the Power Five of Europe, right? Like the Premier leagues that are in Premier League, leagues that are in Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga, and Liga. Like those leagues, anything outside of that are stepping stone leagues. Even the Eredivisie, which has always been known as a stepping stone league, the Belgium league, the whatever league you want to think of over in Europe, those are stepping stone leagues to a promising opportunity to play for those Power Five teams, Power Five leagues. And I think Major League Soccer needs to start putting themselves in that category. And the reason why I say that is because if the MLS is able to prove that they can develop players that can compete in the next level in Europe, that also says a lot about how far MLS has gone in their player development. And that goes the exact same for coaches. If you have a coach that has done very well in Major League Soccer and enough to get an attention of a European side, goes to Europe and is considered a top manager. I'm not gonna say like elite manager, world class manager, but just a top manager, a good manager that can do what is asked of him in the European setting. that speaks volumes of the league as well. Player development and coach development are going to be, if we're able to be a league, a feeder league for the rest of the world, like for those big leagues. And I know we're talking about Scottish Premier League, but still, Scottish Premier League, Celtic is a big club. That is a massive club to be affiliated with. A lot of history behind that club. One of the biggest derbies in world football, Celtic is involved with. You can't talk about Scottish Premier League without talking about Celtic. So it is a big deal. For Wilfried Nancy, for someone from MLS, like once again, who really cemented his resume through MLS, When you think of the 2002 season that he had with CF Montreal, uh, a team that honestly, when you look at where Montreal has been recently since he left, hasn't really been a good team. And he was able to get them one of their best seasons back in 2022. And then he gets his opportunity with the Columbus Crew, where he won the 2023 MLS Cup and won 2024 MLS Coach of the Year. And even from all that, was able to get a contract with an extension with the Columbus Crew, which made him one of the highest paid coaches in Major League Soccer. Like, like I said, Wilfried Nancy was just levels on levels better than most managers. And I don't want to take that as a shot to Major League Soccer, but I'll be honest with you, Major League Soccer likes to recycle coaches that really have no business to be managers. Um, and I'm sure, and that's the same thing with across the world. Like that, like even in Liga MX, like I've seen guys that have just been recycled through numerous clubs in Mexico. So it's not like I'm speaking of something different. And I'm sure that people feel the same way wherever country they play from. That they watch and support. That there's managers where you're just like, yeah, he just gets jobs over here. So I don't think I'm speaking anything foreign as far as that goes. But uh, once again, if and I'm gonna be rooting for Wilfred Nancy. Like I already I don't support Celtic. I'm not a fan of Celtic or by any means, but obviously uh uh Cameron Carter Vickers, who unfortunately is injured, but Austin Trusty also plays for Celtic. So there's Americans that play for in Celtic. Um so I watch their matches. I watch whenever I get a chance to watch Celtic is mainly to watch those guys, but now I have another reason to watch Celtic, which is to support Wilfred Nancy because like I said, I've been very high on Wilfred Nancy since I got to learn about this guy. He's just a really good manager. He's not afraid to speak his mind. He's spoken out on some of his criticisms for Major League Soccer, and yeah, he's one of our best coaches. And if he's able to go to Celtic, which it is a high pressure job, there's a standard in Celtic. They expect to win the Scottish Premier League, and if Wilfred Nancy can deliver and do more, where probably go far in European competitions if they are in a European competition right now. Um, that's just another thing to add on to Wilfred Nancy's already impressive resume as he builds his career in Europe, which I hope is a very big career where he gets more opportunities. Like where now this is essentially Wilfred Nancy's foot in the door in Europe. If he can showcase that he can handle the pressure of Celtic, which there's a lot of pressure with Celtic if you're going to be the manager of that team. I'm sorry. That's going to speak volumes on you as a coach, but also it's going to showcase that these MLS coaches do have some quality, do know what they're talking about. So I think that this is going to help at least build some reputation for Major League Soccer. Just like when a player from a Major League Soccer team moves to Europe and performs in Europe, it speaks volumes of that MLS isn't slowing guys down or making them lazy. So I think that yeah, if you're an MLS fan and you're seeing Wilfred Nancy hopefully making this move official, yeah, you're going to be proud. You're going to be happy that this is happening for him. Like you want to see this happen for him. I don't see why you wouldn't. So we'll see what happens there, man. I really hope it happens, man. I really hope so. So Wilfred Nancy, yeah. I mean, it sucks that you have to leave Major League Soccer, but I know it's for the best. I know Wilfred Nancy wasn't expecting to stay here for the rest of his career. He wanted to go. He wanted to go test himself in Europe, and that's really what everybody else wants to do. When you're playing professionally football, you look. It's even guys in any country, whether you play in Colombia, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, USA, um, Asia, anywhere in Asia, anywhere in Africa, you want to be able to get an opportunity to go play in Europe and prove yourself in amongst the ranks of Europe. That's everybody, and that includes coaches as well. So I hope they're able to do it. I hope he lives up to our high expectations and Celtics expectations, and get them on track to win another Scottish Premier League title. So, so all those Celtic fans, I guess you have another person pulling for you. So, take that for what you want. But that is Wilfried Nancy, and then we'll move on to the next headline. Hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast, here to tell you guys about Canada Dips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip, using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada Dip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BELLYUP20 at CanadaDipCBD.com. Once again, BELLYUP20 at CanadaDipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canada Dips for being a great partner of Belly Up Sports. Sorry, I had to take a big gulp of water. I'm coughing way too much. All right, I'm hoping this is going to be the last time I ever have to talk about this, but probably not. All right, Vinicius Jr. So apparently Vinicius is not happy. He's not happy around Madrid, and I think I already touched up about this a couple weeks ago, but I'll touch up on it again because it came out again. But so essentially, Real Madrid had an embarrassing draw against Elche, a 2-2 draw against Elche, which was, yes, it was flat out embarrassing. It was a terrible performance. The lineup was kind of questionable. I'm not gonna lie, but once again, I'm believing in Xabi Alonso. Vinny was on the bench. I believe he was on the bench. I'm just gonna go back to Foot Mob. Just gonna keep going back to Foot Mob. I know. I'm boring. I'm annoying, but let me see. Yeah, it's a 2-2 draw against Elche, which in the lineup. Yeah, so Vinny was on the bench. You see, Vinny. Yeah, Vinny was on the bench. He came in on the 57-minute mark. Which, they started Rodrigo over Vinicius Jr. Obviously, once again, he's just rotating out the squad. Which let me just double check one more thing. Which was the Olympiacos game, which I believe Vinny did in fact start. Yeah, Vinny started in the Olympiacos game. So I think when push comes to shove, he's rotating the guys out. He didn't really necessarily think he would need Vinicius in this Elche match. Maybe coming off the bench, he would have been impactful. And then, so he could be full 100% for Olympiacos. And I understand that maybe, because Mbappe didn't rest. You didn't start, Gonzalo, Raul Gonzalo. You didn't start Endrick over Mbappe and Elche. You had Mbappe play in the Elche match. So I mean, I think at this point, you gotta be playing. Vinny's gotta play, and I understand that because Vinny's one of our best players. No, as much as I love Rodrigo, he's my adopted son and everything. He's just not playing well. He's not scoring. And I'm not gonna say he's not playing well. He's just not scoring goals. He's just not. Vinny scores goals. Matter of fact, I believe Rodrigo's now I think it was a 29 game drought or something like that he hasn't scored a goal. So I may have over exaggerated with 29, but I feel like that's dumber. Anyways, that's not really that as important. But so after that game, everyone just starts dropping everywhere on social media, X, Instagram. Everybody starts coming out with this article about how Vinny is not happy. He wants to leave Real Madrid. He's not discussing a contract renewal. And I think it's funny because these are they literally posted this a month ago. It was literally a month ago when they stated this. The El Clasico, all the things about the locker room, this is literally a month ago. All this was talked about a month ago. I'm going to say it again. This was happening a month ago. Him being unhappy, the whole everyone not liking how Xabi Alonso is strict and have all these like rules that they need to follow, all the extra gym sessions, all the extra video sessions, all that, the restrictions in the locker room, all those things. This isn't new. We're talking about something that was dropped a month ago. But people just need something to post. They need to post something, so they recycle what was posted already. So, and obviously it got what they were hoping for, which was to get a reaction off of these people. That's exactly what it was for. It was to get a reaction, take advantage of just fans frustrated of a 2-2 draw against Elche, which I understand. But that was a post. This discussion of Vinny not being happy with Xabi Alonso was literally a month ago. Maybe not literally, but it was a month ago where Vinicius shared his frustration about Xabi Alonso. So it's nothing new. We literally I literally talked about this a couple episodes ago. So it's not news. This is not an ongoing, for all we know, this has probably already been handled. But because, once again, you need to talk about something and you need to take advantage of just a very disappointing performance from Real Madrid, you gotta kind of start shaking some things up to get a reaction, which you're getting it. You're exactly getting it. So I can't say anything. But we all know Vinicius Jr. is not happy with Xabi Alonso. He claims that his relationship with Xabi Alonso is strictly professional, which is probably by far the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard in my life. Sorry for cussing, Kelsey. But it's supposed to be a professional relationship. I get it that there's managers out there that are just great players coaches. Like Carlo Ancelotti is a players coach. He likes to have a good, God, why am I scratching my head so much? Anyways, he likes having a relationship with his players. He values that. Now, is Xabi Alonso a players coach? I have no fucking idea. Sorry for cussing, Kelsey. But I will tell you this. He may not be a players coach because he's focused more on the tactics. He's a student of the game. But he's also a former player. So he probably can relate to the players because he was not that long ago, he was playing. So, and Xabi Alonso has mentioned, he understands a player being frustrated, being subbed out. He also has been frustrated for being subbed out. He relates to these guys. So he's not I'll reiterate this again. He's not Carlo Ancelotti. He's not. But I would also remind you, the last season that last season with Carlo Ancelotti, it was a rough season. Yes, injuries did come into play, and all those things, and I get that. But once again, there just wasn't any structure defensively. There was no effort as a unit to defend. Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, and Vinicius were not coming back and defending. And I will say, aside from maybe a few other games, Real Madrid hasn't been blown out. It's been a lot of close matches. Yes, it's a little bit, it can be overwhelming at times, but they're just not, we're not getting blown out. Are we giving up careless mistakes? Yes. Actually, the Olympiacos game was very frustrating, even though it was a win. But at the end of the day, and it's still like the first half of the season. We're almost done with the first half of the season, but still, you had a strong performance against Barcelona in El Clásico. Depending how you do in this next game against I think it's Girona. Let me see. Pretty sure it is. Yeah, it's Girona. So, depending on how they perform against Girona, if they get a win, they're back on top of the table. So, this whole thing about that one, you can't say the club is performing poorly because they're doing fairly well. As a matter of fact, Kylian Mbappe is looking like he might be topping his goal production from last year, outdoing his goal production from last year, which, by the way, he won the goal scorer amongst all competitions. So If he's a so like, and the thing is like, people talk about more about how the guys are frustrated with him, but no one's talking about the guys that are actually like flourishing and standing by Xabi Alonso. Kylian Mbappe is one of them. Thibaut Courtois is another person. Um, Carrera is obviously newer signing, so maybe not a good example to pull. But there's guys that are genuinely happy with Xabi Alonso and are buying in with what Xabi Alonso wants to do. Now, are there guys that aren't happy? Rumored to be Jude Bellingham, Federico Valverde, Endrick, and Rodrigo, and I believe Ferland Mendy, but Mendy hasn't really been playing, which is unfortunate. But because the guy is a dog. But if you notice, Jude Bellingham was dealing with an injury, so hasn't really been playing much. But I think maybe for like the role, here's the thing: Arda Güler, which Xabi Alonso made it very clear that this is a guy that he wants to, utilize a lot more. Well, him and Jude Bellingham kind of play the same position, unless you put Güler on the wing, which there's so many moving parts and questions. So Bellingham, maybe just because the role that he has to play doesn't particularly like it. Valverde, I mean, this guy literally plays everywhere on the field, but I think that at some point he wants to be a midfielder. But at the end of the day, he's the captain of Real Madrid, and as long as Dani Carvajal is on the field. But he's one of the vice captains for Real Madrid, and I think that I'm not entirely sure if that's a real true. Once again, these are rumored. Endrick, I totally get. The guy hasn't been on the field. The guy doesn't play. He's gonna go to Lyon on loan in January, so I get it that he hasn't been happy. He hasn't been happy since he came to Real Madrid because he's not playing. So I get that. Rodrigo, he was rumored to leave Real Madrid this past summer. He didn't go. He stayed put. He was doing drills with Xabi Alonso. But yeah, he hasn't really been playing and he hasn't really been performing. So I get why he's unhappy. My personal opinion, he probably should have left. He probably should have gone and went elsewhere, because I think the way Real Madrid is shaping up, Rodrigo is going to get phased out. He is getting phased out. So like, and that's really the cold hard truth. Now, at the end of the day, no, and I say this plenty of times, nobody's bigger than the club. When you talk about the big clubs, we're talking about Real Madrid, Arsenal, Manchester United, Manchester City, I'll throw all the names you want. PSG might be a little bit different, but the Bayern Munich, the Borussia Dortmunds, all those big clubs across Europe, the saying continues: no one, and I mean nobody, is bigger than the club. Players come and go, but the club stays. Cristiano Ronaldo left Real Madrid. Real Madrid still won Champions Leagues after Ronaldo left. They won Champions League before Ronaldo. They'll win Champions Leagues again. That's the way it is. Real Madrid is just, it's Real Madrid. People are gonna want to come play for this club. If you want out, go. You're really not as big as you think it is. You're really not. And I'm applaud the board because of all the bullcrap that they have to hear from literally something that was reported a fucking month ago. Sorry for cousin Kelsey. Once again, a month ago, they said, "Hey, no, we're backing Xabi Alonso. He's our guy. We brought him in for this reason. We're gonna see this project through." And it's like, you can't sit here and say that he's an unproven manager, because he literally got Bayer Leverkusen a league title. He got Bayer Leverkusen undefeated. They went invincible the year they won the Bundesliga. So you can't sit here and say that he's unproven, because once again, Bundesliga, which has been dominated from Bayern Munich for many years, ended the streak. That Bayer Leverkusen team, which, by the way, when Xabi Alonso took over, that Bayer Leverkusen team was on the cusp of not looking great. Mind you, they fired their manager at the time, and then when Xabi Alonso came in, got them into a better position. I believe Champions League position. So he got them from wherever they were on the table, which was not really in a good position. I don't think they were relegation bound, but they were not in a good side of the table. Got them into a European competition spot. Actually, as a matter of fact, I believe it was Europa League, because that's right. They went to the final. And then obviously the following year responds by having an invincible season with Leverkusen. So you can't sit here and tell me that Xabi Alonso isn't a good manager, because he did an amazing turnaround with Bayer Leverkusen. As a matter of fact, look where they are now that he left. So don't feed me that crap that Xabi Alonso is in over his head. Is Bayer Leverkusen a different situation than Real Madrid? Of course. Does Bayer Leverkusen have high standards and high expectations? Are the team known for winning Champions League? No, they're not. But to say that Xabi Alonso isn't a quality manager when he literally got a team that probably has a history of having good players come out of there, but that's the history of good players coming out of there. He got them to win the Bundesliga in an invincible year. So don't feed me that crap that he's not a good manager. He's trying to build his culture at Real Madrid. I'll honestly tell you, if the guys that are rumored to be unhappy, Jude Bellingham, Federico Valverde, Endrick, Rodrigo, Ferland Mendy, if they're not happy in this scenario, get the fuck out. Sorry for Cousin Kelsey. Get the fuck out. Go somewhere you want to be at. If you don't want to see this project all the way through, if you don't want to buy in with Xabi Alonso, go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. Because once again, as much as I love these guys, I love Jude Bellingham, I love Federico Valverde. He's my adopted son. Endrick, he's cool. Rodrigo, once again, adopted son. As much as I like these guys, and I love Ferland Mendy, as much as I like these guys, they can leave. They can leave. I hope they do well. I hope they do. But if you're not bought in, that's where I'm not gonna have it. If you're not bought in, get out. And let Real Madrid bring in guys that will. Speaking of Jude Bellingham, if you're not happy, Real Madrid's on the cusp of bringing Nico Paz back, who's been doing great at Como. You're gonna have to compete with that. Once again, this is all if the rumors true. This is all if the rumors are true. I don't believe that Bellingham is unhappy, because once again, these are reports from a month ago. These are guys that were happy with Carlo Ancelotti. That's what it is. I made the analogy back. I made the analogy in the previous episode. It is the Mighty Ducks. This all that we're hearing, it's the Mighty Ducks. If you guys aren't familiar, the Mighty Ducks is this kids movie of this group of misfit kids that were a terrible hockey team. In comes Gordon Bombay, who kind of becomes like a father figure, if you will, for these kids. Gets them to somehow win a championship, which, by the way, they were still terrible. They couldn't make the playoffs if it wasn't for the fact that a team one of the teams that were in the playoffs got the measles. So they got in by default, not because they were a good fucking team, because they were horrendous. Sorry for Cousin Kelsey. And then they went to the championship game, beat the big bad team of the coach for some reason that has been coaching that little league team for God knows how many years. If he's developed so many good players, how the hell does he not got a job in the NHL? That's just my questions for a different discussion. But that, and then obviously D2, for some reason, this team that wasn't really good to make to qualify for their playoffs, which it was a 10 team a 10 team league, and 8 teams made the playoffs. And for some reason, USA Hockey was like, get me those guys. For some fucking odd reason. And for some reason, they're like, Yeah, Gordon Bombay, you only coached like a few games, but hey, how about you coach the USA team? What? Okay, anyway, that's not important. Anyway, now we're at and then they somehow beat Iceland to become, the Olympic champions. Then fast forward to D3. Gordon Bombay gets a job where he gets to help run the Goodwill games, the Olympic games for the hockey league. So he's going to be doing that. So then these kids are all got like all this ragtag group of kids that had no business representing the U.S. and now have gotten a full ride scholarship for this like prestigious academy. They don't have Gordon Bombay anymore. Now they have this new coach. This coach that is by the rules an actual hockey coach. And he's not buddy with the guys. He's not having them, learn to pass by using eggs and having guys like chase them down with a lasso. Like he's not doing that. Like he's having them actually do drills. Even points out that hey, our fat goalkeeper that is never stays in shape probably shouldn't be our goalkeeper. Maybe the girl that's called Julie the Cat Gaffney, who apparently has led the league in clean sheets. Maybe she's the one that should be the starting goalkeeper. All these things. So this coach and Charlie Conway, for some fucking odd reason, which probably got a lot more special treatment from Gordon Bombay, mainly because he was banging his mom. But I like how this discussion just turned into a whole like synopsis of the Mighty Ducks. So and then obviously he's unhappy. Gordon Bombay isn't there. He feels like he left the team, and he hates this guy because he doesn't like the way this guy coaches, and all this blah 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 blah. Vinicius Jr. is Charlie Conway, and Carlo Ancelotti is banging his mom. That's what I'm getting to at this point. Carlo Ancelotti has this father-son relationship with Vinicius Jr. Now that Carlo Ancelotti isn't there, and he doesn't have that same relationship with Xabi Alonso because Xabi, one, is just not that kind of guy because for him, maybe he likes the strictly professional relationship. Maybe he doesn't want to be your buddy. And I think Vinny just doesn't like the change. I think that's where it comes down to it. Vinny doesn't like the change. And once again, this is reports that happened a month ago. I'm just going to keep reiterating that. It's a report that happened a month ago. This is what we're talking about. A report that happened a month ago that, once again, media just got bored and needed something to rattle some people. So they reposted a report that happened a fucking month ago. Sorry for cussing, Kelsey. So, yeah, that's where we're at. But, update now. The update now. Once again, I did mention that Real Madrid is backing Xabi Alonso. Just want to make that bountifully clear. Abundantly clear. There was an update. So Vinny apparently is now willing to accept a reduced term contract. Wonder why? I wonder why. Well, one, tensions have cooled off because it has been a fucking month. Sorry for cousin Kelsey, but it has been a month since, all that shenanigans has happened. And two, he hasn't really gotten any offers. And I honestly tell you why. As much as I love Vinicius Jr., and I love Vinicius Jr., I love how he plays. I love the whole has his heart on his sleeve. Does he get a bit emotional? Definitely. But I still love him nonetheless. I love the way he is, the tenacity and all those things. I'm perfectly fine with the total package that is Vinicius Jr., with the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there is a lot of ugly. But not everybody's going to be able to tolerate that. Not everybody's going to tolerate that. So if you and then here's the thing, here's the kicker. You want this father-son if you think that this father-son relationship with Carlo Ancelotti you're gonna get with somebody else, you're probably not, because the teams that essentially he was kind of interested in was like Manchester City, Pep Guardiola. I don't think you're gonna get that father-son relationship with him. PSG, you're definitely not gonna get that relationship with Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique is not afraid to call you out on your bullshit. Sorry for cousin Kelsey. If you go to Bayern Munich, you think Vincent Kompany is gonna let you just go around being a little punk? We've seen him chew out players at Burnley. We've all seen the video. What makes you think the grass is gonna be greener? You're not. And once again, there's the reason why there's not many clubs that are reaching out. One, His price tag is too fucking high. Sorry for Cousin Kelsey. His price tag's high. So, and once again, his contract expires in 2027. So, if he wants to leave the club's got to be willing to pay a good amount of money for him. Like, he's going to be one of the highest transfers. And teams like PSG and Man City essentially would probably have the money for him. But an Arsenal, no. Manchester United, I would be very intrigued if they were able to pull the money up. So your options are either PSG, which clearly they're not interested in him. I mean, why would they? They have Doué and they have Kvaratskhelia. Why would they want him on the wing? They're good. Man City, I don't really think they have any use of him. I mean, they literally shipped Jack Grealish to Everton. So why? Because he didn't play. So why would you bring Vinicius Jr. in? So really, honestly, the only league I was specifically say that can afford him is Saudi Arabia. And do you think Vinicius Jr. wants to go play in Saudi Arabia? Not now, not yet. Probably maybe when he's like 35, maybe. But not now. He wants a Ballon d'Or. And the only way he's going to get a Ballon d'Or is if he plays for a top team in Europe. Real Madrid probably gives him his best shot. You just have to buy in. And you know what? And going back to the Mighty Ducks, Charlie eventually does suck it up and buys in on what this coach was doing. And what did they do? Once he bought in, played two-way hockey, defensive hockey, because he was, Charlie was more for being a goal scorer, not a defender. But once he figured that out, he realized that this coach was really good. He built a really good relationship with the coach. Coach gave him back his seat because he was the captain of the Mighty Ducks. And they beat the varsity team. Because he bought in. So moral of the story is, coaches are going to come and go. Players are going to come and go. You just have to buy in whatever the new coach is doing. Probably the moral of the story. Unless he sucks. Like, if we're talking about, like, just a terrible coach, I mean, that's a different story. But if you're a team like Real Madrid, you're going to get good coaches. So, but the real moral of this story is, this was an article. This whole conversation, this article, the articles that were written about the whole Vinicius not being happy and not doing a contract renewal, all this came from a conversation that happened a month ago. A conversation that happened a month ago. A temper tantrum that happened a month ago. That is all that this is based off of. All that's what it's based off of. That's all I gotta say. Once Real Madrid starts winning, once we're in the thick of it, where you're gonna have to play Vinny, you're gonna have to play your stars regularly, everything's gonna be fine. Once everybody gets bought in, once everyone buys in, which I'm assuming everybody has, things will be fine. Things will be fine. Well, all right. We're going to go take a break and then go into MLS Cup playoffs. Fight and win! All right, guys. MLS Cup playoffs, the semifinals or the conference finals has concluded. And before we get into the conference finals, yes, the winner of the conference finals gets a trophy. Shut the fuck up about it. Sorry for Cousin Kelsey. But honestly, I swear to God, like, the people that just don't like MLS, the people that just don't like MLS always have to find something to complain about. Even though this thing has been going on for quite some time, obviously it's been publicized a little bit more because of obviously who got to lift a certain conference final trophy. But yes, in Major League Soccer and in most leagues in the U.S., there is a trophy that is lifted after the conference finals. That's why I keep trying to word this as obviously conference semifinals, conference finals, final. I get that sounds weird and it should be just quarterfinal, semifinal, and final, but MLS is broken down into two conferences, Western and Eastern Conference. And I know this sounds foreign to the football people, the football stands, the people that love Premier League, love. First of all, the whole concept of a playoff format in general is foreign to those people. But if you know and understand sports here in America, like, it's funny because the people that are talking so much trash, as if you guys don't watch NFL, as if you guys don't watch NBA, I get it if you don't watch MLB, I totally get that part. But as if you don't watch NBA and you guys don't watch NFL, like, you're gonna sit here and be on your little high horse, acting like as if we don't see an AFC Championship game, we don't see an NFC Championship game, we don't see an American League Division, American League Championship Series, and National League Championship Series. We don't see a Western Conference Final, Eastern Conference Finals, like as if that didn't exist before this. Like I said, I will say, as much as, like, yes, MLS has to do a better job of trying to gain that audience, that football fan audience, because once again, I reiterate this over and over again, the U.S. is in fact a football nation. It's just not an MLS nation. Major League Soccer, not that, they don't value that league. Same thing with the U.S. men's national team. Some people, a lot of people, choose not to support the U.S. men's national team and support another country, which to me that is bizarre, because unless you have a real connection to that country, i.e., for instance, me and Edward, we're both Salvadoran Americans. We have family from El Salvador, so we support El Salvador. But we're also American, and we support the U.S. men's national team. Like that, those are our countries. It baffles me seeing a dude wearing an England shirt when you're not from England. And this isn't a shot at John Rawlings. So John Rawlings is in fact English. Like, don't let that accent fool you. The dude grew up in England. But that's my point. The thing that just baffles me is, at the end of the day, like, the football fans, those guys are going to complain just to complain. They're never at the end. They want MLS to be the Premier League. That's what they want. That if they were to take it seriously, I don't really think they'll ever support Major League Soccer. Like and I'm talking about specifically the annoying Euro snobs. I'm not talking about people that do in fact give MLS like a fair shot, but the guys that just want to complain about MLS. Oh, it's not a serious league. You can't be serious. This can't be serious. Like, those people I entirely despise, because you can't take it for what it is. You have to complain. Just you there's something about you just have to complain about something that you don't even watch. And that's the part that even baffles me, is that you take time out of your life, time that you can spend on your family, a hobby, anything. You're taking time to complain about Major League Soccer. I don't know about you. If I didn't like Major League Soccer, I wouldn't have a soccer podcast. If I didn't like football in general, I wouldn't have a football podcast. So if I didn't like obviously, if I like something, I like talking about it. I like spending time on it. But if I don't like something, I'm just not going to give it the light of day because I don't like it. That to me is sad. That you would rather spend time being negative about something versus just being positive about something. And that is one of the real issues with the modern day. All right, rant over. Let's get into it. So, but yes, conference finals, it is the winner of that conference. This isn't a typical tournament, if you will, where kind of like the FA Cup, where a finalist is a finalist. You know, it's not like that. It's not the World Cup. The trophies that are being earned from both these teams in the conference finals are the winner of the Western Conference and the winner of the Eastern Conference. Yes, it sounds weird if you don't watch football, if you don't watch American sports, and I get that. But in this, once again, is the battle that Major League Soccer has. It is the battle that Major League Soccer continues to have, and I will continue to explain it. Is that their job is to try to gain two different types of fan. The American that likes football or soccer, but only watches Premier League and watches Europe. That fan, and then the American fan. The fan that doesn't necessarily watch soccer, watches other leagues. You have to find a good middle ground for both sides. And a playoff format isn't as foreign as you think. Like I said, I've reiterated many times. The Salvadorian League has a playoff format. As a matter of fact, Metapan just got eliminated by Aguila, which hopefully Edward doesn't find that out because I'm sure he'll like to mention that to me at some point. Liga MX playoffs is like I'm literally watching Cruz Azul playing Chivas Guadalajara in a quarterfinal. So the concept of a playoff format in football isn't a foreign concept. But because the U.S. does it, it's weird. You can't take this league seriously because we have a playoff format. So those people just eat a dick. Eat a dick. Sorry for cussing, but just eat a dick, dude. Like at this point, like I said, you're just complaining for the sake of complaining. You don't want to give it a shot. As a matter of fact, you didn't. The only reason why you found out was because of a post on social media, because they posted something on social media and you saw that they did a trophy lift. But you want to complain. You choose time out of your life to complain about it. I know I'm going back in my rant, but it baffles me, man. Like if you don't like something, why take time out of your life? Like the one thing in this world that I will tell you. The money, all that has nothing equivalent to time. Because you can't get time back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And people don't realize how precious time is. And for you to choose to be negative with the time that you have, it's just bizarre to me, man. That is insane to me. Is that you choose to spend your time, your precious time in this world that we live in, because we never know when it's going to be our last day, and you choose the time, you spend that time to be negative. I cannot relate. I really just cannot relate. But that's where we are. But anyways, this is the battle that MLS has to gain attention of the football fan that lives in the United States and the American sports fan. And how do you get that going? Playoffs. A playoff structure. It's something that's relatable to both sides. Now, is there better ways to do this playoff format? I think so. I do at some point would like to see the conferences go away. But with as many teams that MLS has, it's kind of hard not to have these conferences. It just is. Now, unless Major League Soccer finally just buys USL, which might look like the way things are going with USL, might be a possibility. If Major League Soccer buys out USL, you have your pyramid, right? You have your pyramid, and then maybe you can do 20 teams of league, and then you can do the playoff format, top 8 teams, top 4 teams. Like those are the teams that compete in the playoff. Till then, this is the format, and this is the way it is. Like if you have a better idea, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear what your solution would be to once again, and it's not to change Major League Soccer to be the Premier League, because once again, what Major League Soccer has to do is find a middle ground for the football fan in America, the footy soccer, the guy that the American that wakes up early to watch the Premier League, La Liga, those leagues, and get them to watch MLS and like MLS for what it is. And then you have to get the attention of the American fan that's not familiar with how things are done in the Premier League and La Liga, but knows how the other leagues are done here in the U.S., which once again, they know about conferences. That's language that they understand. They understand conferences. They understand playoff formats. They know conference finals. They know, you get what I mean? So that is the battle. So I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have a better idea that can find a middle ground for those two types of fans, that Major League Soccer can try to find a middle ground to get both into this league, I would love to hear it. Because if not, I'm not here about complaints. I'm here about solutions. If you have a solution, which I'm sure obviously this isn't going to be the platform that someone hears out for it, but if you have an idea, share it. Like, it's better than people complaining just to complain. So there's that.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
But all right, well, let's recap the semifinals, man. So, second place Vancouver Whitecaps beat first place San Diego FC 3-1. It looked initially that it was going to be a good a tight matchup, but once Vancouver, well, actually no, it wasn't. It actually Vancouver went right into scoring. But yeah, it was just once Vancouver, like I said, has been one of the more complete teams in Major League Soccer this season. They did very well in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which they made it to the final, only to get obliterated by Cruz Azul. But still had a good run, beat some Liga MX sides. So Vancouver, a team that actually has a really interesting story because there was rumors of Vancouver to be sold. There was a rumor to be sold and to be moving away from Vancouver. That was a big thing that was being talked about. Last year they had a very embarrassing moment where they couldn't host their wild card round game. And so it was then hosted at Portland. And the reason why they couldn't host it in Vancouver was because Vancouver was having a monster truck rally. I'm not making this up. This is actually what happened. They had a monster truck rally, so they couldn't reschedule the monster truck rally over this wild card game for Vancouver. And so they just settled to play it in Portland. So the team that got a higher seed and at least had earned the possibility of having a home game in a winner-take-all match, lost that home field advantage because the stadium refused to reschedule a monster truck rally. I'm really not making this up. That happened. You can Google it. You know what? Go ahead. Google it right now. I'll let you Google it right now. Just Google it. I'll be right here. Just Google it right now. I'm telling you. If you don't believe me, just Google it right now. I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll take a sip of water real quick. I'll wait. Okay, you believe now? All right, cool. So that happened. That really happened. But going into the season, a lot of people were kind of counting off Vancouver just because of the uncertainty that was going on with the club. Clearly, that didn't matter because they went on a run. They looked really strong. They looked like one of the best teams in Major League Soccer. And I still very much believe that. I think they're the most. They're one of the, as right now, I think they're the most complete team in Major League Soccer. Defensively, midfield, attack, they're just complete. They play like a unit. They know what to do, and it's guys that have really proved themselves. Brian White, another solid year for himself, despite I think health concerns, but still played very well. You have Ryan Gauld back. Sebastian Berhalter, he worked his way up to earn a U.S. men's national team spot. Potentially could be on the World Cup. Tristan Blackman, I believe he got Defender of the Year. You don't quote me on that. Google that if I'm wrong. But Tristan Blackman, a standout, got called up with the U.S. men's national team. I thought that was questionable, but still he earned an opportunity to get called up by the U.S. men's national team. And on top of that, to put this team over the top, you go out and get Thomas Müller. You bring in Thomas Müller to come in and become the leader of this team. And these guys, and by the way, I want to say, I love watching Thomas Müller when he's on the bench because you hear him, shouting out things. He's trying to making it, still be like he's a leader. He's coming to Major League Soccer because he wants to compete in Major League Soccer. He wants to get the best out of this league and improve the quality of this league. That is one, like, to me, that's a great representation of a player that from Europe that is not coming in just, oh, this is like a vacation for me. Like he wants to compete, he wants to win, and so I love that. I love that he's doing that. Shows that he cares, and I love that for him. I want to point out Emmanuel Sabi. The only reason I want to point out Emmanuel Sabi is because he personally was a player that I used a lot in EA Sports FC or FIFA. I always try to get like American players like on my teams when I do like these road to glory. road to glory. When I go from a team from a lower division and put them up in the Premier League or whatever the top flight is. And Emmanuel Sabi was a guy that I used pretty frequently. And yeah, it's cool that it's funny because I started tracking him because obviously like I used him a lot on FIFA, so I was starting to track him, trying to see like he's not really doing great in his current club situation. It'd be maybe it'd be nice for him to go to Major League Soccer. I was hoping it would be the Houston Dynamo, but he ended up going to Vancouver, and I think that was a great move for him. So yeah, I like a lot of this. I like a lot about this Vancouver Whitecaps team. San Diego, man, like let's say it, man. This for a team that in their first year, with some of the guys that they got, like Anders Dreyer, Chucky Lozano, a savvy MLS veteran like Godoy, like this team did amazing. They had a spectacular first year. Hopefully they keep building off of this because this team, if they keep going like this, they'll be back. They'll be back in the Western Conference Finals, and they might be back for an MLS Cup. So, like, this team is in the right position. They might just need to get a little bit stronger, but, like, experience-wise, I mean, solid run for them. I felt that this was going to be the end for them just because I honestly, I was just really high on Vancouver, and literally a 3-1 result showcases that, right? So, strong performance from Vancouver, and for San Diego, man, I hope this isn't the last time we see them. I hope we see them playing more times. I think that they cause more things to make interesting in California. So yeah, and I think the other California teams they're taking notice. Like shoot, man, we just let this team in their first year go as far as this. Not only that, but get that first seed. So San Diego is going to be an interesting team to watch for years to come. Hopefully they keep building off of that. I mean, the ownership looks like they're going to keep being aggressive and get guys that really are great for the league, like Anders Dreyer. But yeah, they're eliminated, and Vancouver Whitecaps punched their ticket to the MLS Cup final. Now, the game that was played before that one, third place Inter Miami beating New York City FC 5-1. It just wasn't close. It felt like it got interesting. New York City was down 2-0. They did respond. You thought maybe that was going to be a change in the game, but no. I mean, Inter Miami just kept it going, man. They kept getting their opportunities and just continuing to expose them. I believe a player scored a hat trick. I think it was like Sevelde. Let me see. Good old Fut Mob. Let's see. No, Allende comes in with a hat trick, man. Yeah, it was just all in all just a solid performance. Also, should point out, no Luis Suarez. Luis Suarez was on the bench. He was brought in the 82nd minute mark, but yeah, the fact that they're able to do this, without Luis Suarez, which was said to be a really big addition to the team, it shows that they can work well going younger. Because I mean, younger than Luis Suarez, 26 years old. Silveri, he's 19, so they pursued to go over a little bit younger of a team, and it's working out, man. It's working out really well for them. Yeah, it's solid performance all the way through, but yeah, man, dude, I felt Inter Miami would have learned from their mistakes from last year. I think that they went all out in the regular season, and they didn't anticipate how much how intense the playoffs are. They overlooked Atlanta, and I think this go around they didn't overlook Nashville. They were gonna go full on with them. Same thing when they went against FC Cincinnati. They were gonna they beat them handily. They are not playing around. And I can tell you that Lionel Messi genuinely does care, because you can see the smile on his face when he was given the Eastern Conference trophy to raise it. Like he's all about this. Like he's like, yeah, let's go. Like, look, is MLS perfect? By far no. Are they slowly but surely improving the league? Yes. Like I said, come 2027, they're going to be changing the season format. They're going to be going to a fall spring schedule. That's going to help a lot. I'm sure the playoff format is going to change. Hopefully, um, things are going to slowly start changing. Obviously, they're moving. Don Garber will. They are planning on moving on from Don Garber. Hopefully, they bring in somebody that's looking to improve the quality of the game in Major League Soccer. Hopefully, one day we see pay to play also be moved away. Um, little things, but like it's gonna go a long way. And I do think Lionel Messi is, as much as I don't want to put so much on Lionel Messi, but the reality is Lionel Messi is going to help gain some recognition for this league. It just is. And it's not, look, I'm not saying that I want Messi to win. I really don't want to see Messi lift the MLS Cup. But it does help in Major League Soccer to gain attention if Lionel Messi is able to find success in this league. So I'm not saying it legitimizes Major League Soccer, but it does help get some eyes on Major League Soccer. The question is, what's going to happen after Messi leaves? And that's really my concern. That's been my concern for quite some time. What's going to happen to this league when Messi leaves? Did the league have put in some sort of foundation? Do they have a plan as to what's going to happen when Messi does leave back in 2028? So that's going to be a really interesting talking point. And we'll see. Once again, it's gonna be interesting to see who they bring in to be the new commissioner of Major League Soccer. They are gonna have to compete with USL. Now, I think competing with USL is probably a little bit of a reach right now. I think the thing that they have going for them is obviously promotion and relegation. At least that's what they have going. That's gonna get people to at least pay attention to what's going on in the league. But I mean, at their final, which by the way, shout out to the Riverhounds for winning the USL championship. But their players protested. Their players going prior into the match protested, basically having shirts that were kind of along the lines like, yeah, pro rel is cool and all, but how about improving our situation, improving our facilities, improving, prove the players first before you start talking about things for the league. And but it's kind of like a weird catch-22 because like the league, the players can't get this without improving the league, because if the league isn't getting eyes, they can't really throw money to help improve the situation for players. So like it's a weird catch-22. So I think that was interesting to point out. But I do think that Major League Soccer needs to have a good commissioner that can really put this league over. I think Don Garber personally has done a really good job keeping this league afloat. But now it's time to bring in a guy with a football background, soccer background, to really improve the league itself, the game itself. Not so much the finances, which I mean still is going to be important. But I think if the quality of the game improves, the money comes with it as well. So, but all right, we have a final. We have an MLS Cup final, and that is Vancouver Whitecaps, second place Vancouver Whitecaps from the Western Conference, and third place of the Eastern Conference, Inter Miami. I was under the impression that the higher seed hosts the MLS Cup final, but I just recently found out that Inter Miami will be hosting the final. Now, I do believe Inter Miami had. I'm gonna assume that they're going off of the Supporters Shield. The Supporters Shield. And the reason why I say they're going off of the Supporters Shield is because I do believe Inter Miami was above Vancouver in that respect. Is that how it's been before? I have really no idea. But and I can't really use last year's MLS Cup final because I believe Red Bull was like low in the Eastern Conference, and LA Galaxy, I believe, was either the first or second seed. So that one, it was a kind of a bit of a difference. But I'm guessing I'm gonna give MLS the benefit of the doubt that they're not trying to rig this from Inter Miami. But I'm guessing they're going off of the Supporters Shield standings, and I would assume once again I'm not looking at the table at the Supporters Shield table, but let me just do that just so I can so I'm not like it doesn't appear that I'm talking out of my ass. Sorry for cousin Kelsey. But let me see. Major League Soccer table. There we go. Supporters Shield. So yeah, Inter Miami was a very much above. So first place was Philadelphia, second place was Cincinnati, third place was Inter Miami, and then that's when we get our first Western Conference team, which was San Diego. So I'm assuming that they're going off of the Supporters Shield standings, which if that case, then yeah, Inter Miami should be hosting it. Now, if we were going off of just what seed you were on your respective conference, it probably should be Vancouver. I will also point out that it probably does benefit to be in Inter Miami just because of the fact that they're playing on real grass versus BC Palace, BC Place, wherever Vancouver Whitecaps play, they use turf. And obviously, Hugo Lloris had some complaints about playing on a turf field, so I think, and obviously Messi is not particularly a fan of playing. At least it's rumored that Messi isn't a fan of playing on turf. So I think that also helps. It's fine being in Inter Miami. Inter Miami is finished in a better standing than Vancouver, and I get that. Also, the East was very much the stronger conference this season versus the Western Conference. But yes, Vancouver is going into Miami and in hopes of winning their first MLS Cup, whereas Inter Miami is in hopes of winning their first MLS Cup. So we're going. It's guaranteed that we're going to have a brand new MLS Cup winner. Actually, I believe this is the first time Vancouver has been in the MLS Cup final as well. So two teams that have never been in the MLS Cup are in the Cup final this season, and it's really interesting, man. And then obviously on top of that, it's Mueller versus Messi. Both have played against each other over the years in Champions League, and in World Cups. So this is just a really I don't I don't consider it to be a rivalry. I don't even think Mueller considers it a rivalry. He has a lot of respect for Messi, but I mean it's just gonna be really good. I mean these guys have had some really iconic games against each other. And so I wonder what adds this onto that history. And I think that it kind of helps also for the league to have a player of Muller's caliber and Messi's caliber facing off in a final. I think that's another thing that could help gain more viewership. Oh no, I think it's a great matchup. It's two really great teams. Inter Miami, once again, I think that they have really understand the league now better, that even with with Mascherano leading them as a manager, like Sergio Busquets, Lionel Messi, and Jordi Alba have a better understanding of this league, that they knew, hey, we don't necessarily have to be the best team in the regular season, we just got to get in the playoffs, and once we're in the playoffs we just got to stay healthy and stay vigilant in every single round. And I think that that's exactly what they did, and that's exactly why they're in the final. Vancouver, like I said, in my opinion, the most complete team in Major League Soccer. Philadelphia was probably like the next argument. Obviously, they are the Supporters Shield winner, but I just like how this team plays. They're very complementary to each other. So I think this is going to be a really good matchup. I hope it to be a good matchup. I don't want to see a blowout. I think there's obviously some concerns with Inter Miami's defense, but I mean, I don't think you can really use that right now because they have played really well defensively in these last two rounds. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a good matchup. I think both teams are going to put up a great fight. And as far as a winner, man, it would make all sense in the world that Inter Miami wins it. But I'm not going to pick Inter Miami just because of the fact that, one, if you guys don't know, when we did the MLS preview, I predicted that Inter Miami wasn't going to win an MLS Cup, and I even put a jersey bet on it. So, if Inter Miami wins the MLS Cup, I have to do a jersey giveaway. I'm gonna have to do it. So, I wish I forgot about it, but people do remind me. And so I'm really going to be pulling for Vancouver. I have some reason to watch it, obviously, if to support Vancouver, mainly because of Emmanuel Sabi. So that's why I'm rooting for Vancouver. Also, on top of that, I would really like not to give away a jersey. So, but I will say it's going to be headlines. If Inter, and honestly, Vancouver will be headlines as well, just because it's going to be like, why can't Messi win MLS Cup? So, either way, there's going to be a lot of eyes on this final. I think Apple I want to say it's going to be on Fox. Apple TV is going to obviously have the game. They took off the paywall, so you just with a regular Apple TV account, you can watch MLS Cup final. But I believe it's going to be on Fox. Let me do my due diligence and actually make sure I have like the information available for everyone instead of just talking out of my ass. So, MLS Cup final. It's gonna be on Fox. It's gonna be on Fox 2:30. I hate myself. Okay. Let's look at the time. Actually, apparently it's 1:30. Is that Eastern time? Okay. Okay. All right. So 1:30 Central time, 2:30 Eastern time. The MLS Cup final will be, so it's a little early, but you know what? It's fine. It'll be good. It'll be a good matchup. But yeah, I'm gonna be pulling for Vancouver mainly because I would like to not give away a jersey. So that's just me. But yeah, that is the MLS Cup final. I hope it's gonna be a good one. I hope it's gonna be a competitive one. But we'll see how it all goes. But all right, we'll go ahead and take a break and then go right into the Liga MX quarterfinals recap and semifinal preview.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
All right, guys. Yes, I literally just waited till the Cruz Azul Chivas game finished before I actually did the preview for this. Also, because I got lost on TikTok, so that was the other thing that. If you guys want to know, I know it wasn't girls twerking that I got lost in. It was I get like a lot of like, probably because of my job where I work with landscapers, but I get a lot of like landscaping videos, and I don't know why, I just find it very satisfying. And the video I was watching was literally a guy making a fire pit, which whenever I become a homeowner, I would like to have my very own fire pit. So it gave me some ideas whenever that time comes. But that's not important. Liga MX, man. So the quarterfinals have concluded, and we're going on to the semifinals. But before we get to that, we'll go ahead and recap the quarterfinals. First place, Toluca beat Juarez 2-1 on aggregate. First leg was a 2-1 victory for Toluca, and they held a 0-0 draw in the second leg. So I anticipated Toluca to, once again, they're just a very strong team this year, stronger than they were the year before. So the season before, the Clausura, which they did win. So they're looking to repeat, go back to back, which once again I've said it plenty of times. It's very hard to do, which I can't even say it's not, because you have freaking Club America doing a three-peat. But Toluca would like to solidify this era of Toluca and continue on to win more. So beating Juarez, which like I said, I kind of anticipated to go down that way. Toluca is just very much a really good team right now. It's going to take a really good opponent to really put this team down, which I think that's what we're going to see in the semifinal. Second place, Tigres beat 7th place Tijuana 5-3 on aggregate. First one, it was a 3-0 loss for Tigres. Tijuana puts up a really good first game, and you think they're in the driver's seat. Look, this is, like I said, I really don't like seeing blowouts in the games, just because of sometimes it's just hard to come back from it. But when you talk about Tigres, a team like Tigres with all the firepower that team has, you never know, especially when you're going in to their stadium in Monterrey. When you go into their stadium, a 3-0 deficit could mean nothing. And that's exactly what happened, because they put up 5. They put up 5 goals against Tijuana. Like I said, I like Tijuana. I was pulling for Tijuana. Gilberto Mora is so much fun to watch, but I just know they're not at the same level as Tigres. it's just different. It's just not the same. And Tigres is just a very good team. They have a lot of big names in that team, which kind of also equates to why they're so good. They're a solid team, man. I expect them to do big things in this tournament. And yeah, they're just really good for going far. Tijuana, they're not. Look, Tijuana can build from this. Like, I'm not saying they're not a terrible team. You have Gilberto Mora. I feel like there's some good, interesting young players in this Tijuana team, but they just get some savvy veterans over on their side, and who knows? Maybe Tijuana can be an impressive team in the Clausura. But Tigres, I think, just went down like I thought they would. Third place Cruz Azul beats Chivas de Guadalajara 3-2 on aggregate. First leg was a 0-0 draw, so a lot of people were thinking, man, Chivas can do it, and it almost felt like it did because, like I said, as I'm recording this episode, I was literally watching the game. Chivas had a lead. They were up 2-1, and Cruz Azul responded, and they win 3-2. They put up 2 goals unanswered, and they're moving on. Look, Chivas is a interesting team. They're obviously the only team in Liga MX that only plays with Mexican players. It's it kind of similar to like Athletic Club Bilbao, who only plays with players from Basque. So like it's not okay. Maybe a little bit different because obviously with Athletic Club Bilbao, they are very specific in what Spanish player they get. They get players from the Basque region. Whereas with Chivas, if you're Mexican, you're in. You're playing for Chivas. And it's an interesting challenge for Chivas. I think that they're a good team. I do like that they keep believing in this philosophy. I don't think they need to change. I think maybe if you're gonna go bring like Mexican players, get guys that are more solidified. I think Chicharito's very much just out the door. Cade Cow, I just love saying that Cade Cow's on this team. But there's, I think Chivas isn't like, it's not the end of Chivas for me. Like, hopefully they can, kind of similar with Tijuana, if you can bring in maybe a little bit of a savvier veteran in Liga MX. And once again, keep sticking with their philosophy. I think they're fine with it. But maybe we can see them in a better position, man. They put up a good fight against Cruz Azul. Cruz Azul just knows how to respond better. And I think that's really what came down to it for why Cruz Azul ended up eliminating Chivas Guadalajara. But, I mean, the 2-2 draw was going to be enough for them. But to put in a third goal, I think was more so just to make it clear that they are very much the better team. Look, I've said it plenty of times, man. I'm not particularly a big fan of the Liga MX playoff format, particularly about how they deal with players that are in a not players. When teams are higher seeded, like when it's tied on aggregate, they automatically advance. So, like for me, this was a good good that Cruz Azul was able to get the third goal in because, like, this is a game that I would love to see extra time. I would love to see penalties. But obviously, because either way, if this was tied on aggregate, Cruz Azul would have moved on to the next round because of the rule, the higher seed advances automatically. But yeah, Cruz Azul moving on to the next one. Now, so fifth place Monterrey beats Club America 3-2 on aggregate, and I said it. I called it. I told y'all that I felt that because this was a very even matchup, that I felt that there was a good chance that Monterrey could beat Club America. I don't view it as an upset. I think that they're both very on the same playing field. And yeah, first game was a 2-0 victory for Monterrey. So going into that second leg, they were in the driver's seat. Is it everyone knows 2-0 is a dangerous lead. Anything can happen if you get comfortable with a 2-0 lead. But and it looked like it was going to happen because Club America responds, scores 2 goals. Alex Zendejas scoring, I believe, either one or both of them. So they were looking great. They looked like they were, once again, the home field advantage was going to come into play for them. But Monterrey, of all people, Petarame, who is a Mexican Argentine, got called up with the Mexican national team. That was kind of weird. Mexican fans, if you didn't think that was weird, let me know. But thought it was a little weird to see Betarame play for Mexico. But hey, I don't know if anybody's really happy about the recent call up for Mexico. But he puts in the goal that eliminates Club America, which there's a good chunk of Mexico fans that are also Club America. I mean, there's a good chunk of Mexican fans that are Monterrey fans, so I can't really use that as a good example. But there's a lot of Club America haters. There's a lot of Club America haters. But Monterrey, really good team, really strong team. Obviously, potentially this could be it for Sergio Ramos with Monterrey. So I'm not saying they're playing for Sergio Ramos. I'm not saying that at all. But if Sergio Ramos wants to win a trophy before he moves back to Europe, this team is good. They have something here in Monterrey, and it's going to be interesting how they perform, especially in the next round. I will say the semifinalists from here on out, all of them I would not be against winning Liga MX, winning the Apertura. I think all four of them are very good. This is a very strong season of the Apertura, where it could have gone either way for as far as who was going to finish in the top seed. So, honestly, I have no complaints of who wins this one. But the first semifinal is going to be Club Toluca taking on Monterrey. Also, I'm just going to point this out. The episode drops on Thursday. They already played the first legs on Wednesday. I'm not going to fucking drop this earlier just so I can beat it. If I get it right, I get it right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine. It's totally fine. I was actually kind of right, actually. They did get me sweating a little bit, but hey, it's Tigres. But first place Toluca taking on fifth place Monterrey. This is a really interesting matchup. Two really good teams. Obviously, Toluca, like I said, are probably looked at as the best team. Is looked at as the best team out of this group. But I'm telling you, I think it's fairly even. I think it's fairly even amongst all of them. And hopefully I don't regret saying those things. Can I see Monterrey upsetting Toluca? I actually can. I actually can see that. I think Toluca is really good. I think they're hot at the right time. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, Monterrey is a really frisky team. I think they're really good. I think they got hot at the right time. I don't know, man. I can see Toluca winning it. I can see Toluca advancing, but that would be the boring pick. I'm going to pick Monterrey. I'm going to say Monterrey Rayados moves on to the final. And in the other matchup, we got second place Tigres taking on third place Cruz Azul. Both teams are really good. I think if we learned anything, there is such. I mean, if you want to have a strong first leg in Cruz Azul, in the F, apparently clearly 3 goals isn't enough to go into Tigres Stadium. I like the tenacity of Cruz Azul. I really do. But I think this to me is they're just really good right now. They're really strong. They have the players. I think that Tigres moves. I'm not gonna say handle Cruz Azul. I think Cruz Azul puts up a good fight, but I'm gonna say Tigres advances. So my final prediction is we're gonna have 2 legs in the final in Monterrey. I'm gonna say it right now. Tigres versus Monterrey. If that is the final, I will be super happy because I love this rivalry. I think one day me and Eric will talk about our favorite rivalries in Mexico, but Tigres and Monterrey is such a good rivalry. If this comes, I'm gonna be happy regardless of who's in the final. Like if it's Toluca Cruz Azul, Toluca Tigres, Monterrey Cruz Azul. Either matchup, I think this is gonna be a great final. Either way, but if it is Monterrey and Tigres, if it is their rivalry game, these two, and it's in the same city, it's gonna be. To me, it's going to be just chef's kiss. Get your popcorn ready. If this does happen. If it does happen, and I'm really going to be pulling for it, even though I have a soft spot for Toluca, Hector Herrera is someone that I do consider a friend, a former coworker. But, as much as I want to pull for Toluca and I want to see them win another trophy, a chance to see Monterrey and Tigres go at it in the final, that's enticing. Maybe I'm a little biased going into that, but it would be must-watch TV. in my opinion. I think once again, I want to reiterate again. Anybody anyone in these last four, the final four in this one, I would be happy to see in the final, and I would be happy to see you lift the trophy. I think all four of them are great teams. I think that they're all worthy of winning a trophy. But come on, man, tell me if you're unbiased, even biased, but wouldn't you love to see Tigres and Monterrey go at it for a final? I'm just saying. But maybe I'm wrong. But maybe, just maybe, I'm right. But all right, we're going to take a break and then go right into Players of the Week.
I love soccer, Peggy.
All right, guys, Players of the Week is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an amazing ticketing site app, however you use it. It is very convenient, man. It has a very simple grading system using colors and numbers. If it's high and really red, that means if it's low and super red, that's what I meant. That means that price for that event, it's not worth it, man. Keep scrolling. You're going to find a better seat. Now, if it's super green and super high, that means for those seats for that event, you're getting a great bargain. Go ahead and enjoy your event, man. Me and Edward, we love the simplicity of SeatGeek. We use it for all the events that we go to, from live sports to concerts. And if you guys aren't sold just yet, for first-time users, use the code BELLYUPSPORTS at checkout and save $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. SeatGeek Life's an event. We have the tickets. My player of the week is Kenan Yildiz, who scored 2 goals in Juventus' 2-1 victory against Cagliari. And Edward's player of the week is Phil Foden, who scored 2 goals in Manchester City's 3-2 win against Leeds United. So congratulations to Yildiz and Foden for being our players of the week. Once again, guys, go to SeatGeek. Use that code BELLYUPSPORTS at checkout. Save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek, Life's an event. We have the tickets. All right, guys, games to watch this weekend. I mean, we just talked about it. Liga MX, MLS Cup final. Who's going to win MLS Cup? Who's going to the Liga MX final? We're going to find out this weekend. Also, Benfica taking on Sporting in Portugal. Big rivalry game. We'll see what happens with Jose Mourinho and his boys as they take on Sporting. Also, I believe Celtic won their game this weekend, so they have a chance to jump over Hearts. So, big important matchup for Celtic if they want to have a basically back on top of the Scottish Premier League. We'll see what happens there. In Ligue 1, we got Lille taking on Marseille and PSG versus Nantes. In the Bundesliga, we got VfB Stuttgart versus Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig versus Eintracht Frankfurt. In the Serie A, we have Inter Milan versus Como and Napoli versus Juventus. That should be a really good one, guys. Make sure you guys go watch that one. In La Liga, we got Real Betis taking on Barcelona and Athletic Club Bilbao versus Atletico Madrid. In the Premier League, we got Arsenal taking on Aston Villa. Little Emi Martinez reunion right there. And Manchester City taking on Sunderland. Obviously, this is not all the matches that are being played this weekend, but if you guys need a good beginner's guide, we gave you guys some good matches to look forward to. So make sure you guys check that out. All right, with all that being said, we're going to take one last break and then wrap the show up.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
All right, guys, I want to give a shout out to Belly Up Sports, man. Check out the website, bellyupsports.com. Lots of articles constantly being written. Obviously, NFL, college football, all sports. I'm sure there's some WWE stuff as well. John Cena's farewell tour, I'm sure that's something to be talked about. UFC, whatever sports is going on here in the U.S., it's going to be talked about over there at Belly Up Sports. So check them out, bellyupsports.com. Follow them on X and Instagram at Belly Up Sports. So you can see what's all that's going on. They are being very, very active on social media. You can see me talking Major League Soccer over there as well. So make sure you guys go ahead and check it out. Goals TV, man. Check them out on YouTube, Goals TV. Also follow them on X at goals_TV and on Instagram at goals.tv. Man, there's a lot of great programs going there. Obviously, you'll find me from time to time on Wake Up MLS. Check out Eric Winalda's show, Unleash. Lots of great stuff over there at Goals, man. Congratulations, by the way, for hitting 10K. They're just growing and growing, man. If you guys want to see what's going on over there, check it out over there. It's great stuff, man. And, of course, if you guys listen to the audio version of this podcast, you hear some great, sick beats, and that is made by no one other than Roosevelt Spencer. He is the namesake of the Roosevelt Spencer Player of the Year Award because of how great he is, man. We love Spencer so much that we had to name that award after him. And the beats he has is amazing. I'm telling you guys, if you guys are looking to get into podcasting, get into YouTube, or maybe you're an aspiring musical artist, well, Spencer can take really great care of you, man. We recommend him. So follow him on Instagram at ThatGuyDope. Once again, at ThatGuyDope. And if you guys message him, tell him, hey, we need some beats. The guys from Insert Aim FC has sent me over here. Please help us because he will take great care of you like he always does with us. So make sure you guys do that because we do love Spencer. And with all that being said, man, thank you so much for listening. Catch us next week when Edward comes back. Take care, guys.